Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about why Heartbound has not been updated for so long, and it's hilariously because the community exploded in size. Back in November of 2023, we had an average of about 400 viewers. This is now between 15 and 20,000 now. The explosion in the community was massive. In order to contain all of that and to do something with it that was actually, beneficial to everyone involved, I had to do a lot of stuff. The first thing that I had to do was form a corporation. We actually incorporated PirateSoftware. Originally, it was just a DBA, a doing business as, which means it was all in my name. Now it's a corporation. I'm the CEO, and I started hiring on all of the staff. The first thing that I did was I hired all the moderators on. Moderators are actually on full time now. Every one of them is salaried in the United States, and they get vision, dental, medical, so like their healthcare is covered, and life insurance and therapy on a $50 copay. They're taken care of very, very well. One of the things I'm trying to do going forward is get them on to a 401k plan, which if you're in Europe, I believe that's called a pension plan. In the United States, that's not normally always done, but it's something you can do, and I want to do that as well. So it's a huge amount for them. And then for our European staff members, they're actually all on contract. All of them formed their own micro companies, and those guys, they get to choose their own hours, they get to pick when they work, and they have a schedule that is given to them, and then they can go and do that because they're contractors, and that allows them to do that, which is a huge deal. So everybody is taken care of really, really well. I also don't change the pay based on what region those people live in. We only change the pay based on what role they are in. So if you live in Brazil, you get the same pay as someone who lives in the United States. The next thing I did was I moved. I got a piece of property that has more land because we wanted to expand the ferret rescue. The ferret rescue is now enormous by comparison. I think at the time, I think it was like 4 ferrets that we had. We now have 56. On top of that, Shay is now a full-time caretaker at the rescue, and Maddie is a part-time caretaker. So we've hired on staff for that. So the main of PirateSoftware now is 17 staff members in total, 2 of which are editors, 2 of which are for the ferret rescue, 1 of which is kind of like a clerical person that handles a bunch of different stuff, and then the rest are moderators and Kronos, the lead moderator. So you got 17 in total. It's a lot. All of this got done in the last year. This was my whole last year, and navigating all of that stuff took an immense amount of time. And because of that, I stopped working on games. I just didn't have time. I worked on Heartbound a little bit here and there, and there wasn't really any other time to do stuff. So each day I would get off stream. I work on it for about an hour, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours, depending on the day that it was, and then went back to work on that. That was it. And then I could go and stream stuff and do everything outside of that. The other thing that I did was I got into publishing with Off-Brand Games. So Off-Brand Games is owned by Ludwig, and Ludwig is Off-Brand, right? Starter of Off-Brand. And Off-Brand Games is the publishing wing for that. So I'm the director of strategy for Off-Brand Games now, and I've been helping publish other indies and trying to navigate through the world of publishing and make sure that that is done in the best way possible for the indies involved. The first thing that I did when I joined on was review the contracts and make sure the contracts were formed differently because they were kind of egregious like most publishers are. And the change that we ended up making because of that in the very beginning is we don't own the rights to the games that we work on. We just own a license to them for the duration of the contract, which isn't always standard. A lot of publishers will come out and just take the rights to your game permanently. So we changed that, and I'm really happy about that because now we can actually have a good business deal with companies and not rip them off permanently. That's the other thing that I got to do in this last year. But anyway, our community blew up in size as well, so that brought on new challenges. I had to build out the system for TTS, which I'm going to show you here. This is StreamerBot. StreamerBot actually allows us to do all kinds of different stuff. You see here, I've done 91 of the TTS messages today. There are actually 8 in the queue. That's all that's left. It's all in bits. Look at the action history. You can see all the ones that are in here. Every time one of those gets answered, they actually go into our Discord now. This is something that I had to build probably in the first 3 months of everything exploding. Each time I press this, it'll actually answer the question, or it'll actually pop up the question, do it over TTS, and then store it inside of the Discord forever with a timestamp so people can go and click it. And that way, I can answer all these questions that people have for me because there's a shitload. There's a massive amount of you guys now, and because of that, I want to answer them all. And if I don't answer those questions, because a lot of people don't get their question answered by the end because there's too many people, we actually put it into the debt tracker at the end of the stream. And that all gets paid to charity, and I post the receipts for that in here. In fact, there's one receipt that is missing. It is $10,000 to the Humane Society of the United States over their Tiltify. So that is going to be posted up soon. I have every other receipt that's in there. But so far, because of that system, we've given $66,805 to charity since November of 2023. This is basically everything that's been going on for the last year. And I've spent a lot of that time playing games and doing things with the community because that's more fun for the grand majority of the community on top of everything. And yeah, some people are upset that I didn't update Heartbound at that time. But today, that's going to change. We're going to be switching modes over now that everything is built and the structure is in place. It took a year to get everything going. The machine is finally finished, and now we can actually start running with it. I've put up a new build for Heartbound. We're going to be doing monthly updates. So the first of every month, We're going to be doing updates on Heartbound and releasing them out to the community. That is under a monthly update branch. And I need to put a password on that real quick. I'll give you guys the password real fast. We're going to make that announced out. Password is just going to be PirateSoftware, the capital P and a capital S. It'll be called monthly_update is the name of that branch. The branch is not out yet. This branch is going to be broken. Understand this. It's going to be broken. There's going to be weird shit in it. It's not going to be awesome, but I want to put this out at the first of every month so that you guys can actually have that. It will be available on February 1st, and then we're going to do it on the first of every month going forward until everything is done. So we're going to do a monthly build out to everybody. You guys will be able to do that. We'll have patch notes out for it. And if you're wondering what those patch notes will look like, they kind of look the same as Blockgame patch notes. So every time I do an update for Blockgame, which is the Minecraft server that I work on with Jake, they look just like this. So we meticulously go and look at everything that has been changed throughout it. I write the patch notes as I change things, and then I'll just continue going forward. This is going to be what's going forward, like happening for PirateSoftware going forward. But I know there's a lot of people that are upset that I didn't update in the last year, but I had to build a machine, and building that machine took all year. It was a lot of goddamn work. And we're finally in a spot where it's good. And that's it. Do you guys have any questions? Will you update the demo? I will not update the demo, no. There's no plan for that. Will the monthly updates be considered betas? Have you go to reporting anything that might be a bug? You can go and report things through a bug. We actually have a bug reporting system. If you go into the Discord, you can go to ticket system and go to Heartbound ticket, and you can actually put in tickets through this. This is the preferred way of putting in bug reports. I have gotten through probably about 80% of the tickets that were in there in the last month or two because I've started being able to work on stuff now that everything's wound down. So in December and January, I cleared out most of the tickets. Almost all of them are fixed now, which is good. We're doing more on-stream game dev instead of just playing games. It really depends, right? It's like you have to understand something is the stream is kind of like the monetary lifeblood for everything that we do. It allows me to support all of our other activities, everything that we want to do outside of that. And it really depends on what the community finds to be most entertaining on stream. I do work on Blockgame on stream a lot of times. I don't like working on Heartbound on stream for a couple of reasons. One, people get really mad about spoilers, like they do. And the amount of viewership tanks by about 30%. That's not good for the community. It's not good for like what we're doing. It's not good for revenue. None of that is good. On top of it, I find that I freeze up when I'm writing on stream. I am shit at writing with other people watching. It makes me very nervous, and I just don't want to do that anymore. And I started to feel nervous about that as there started to get more and more people, and it makes me feel really awkward writing in front of people. We do more sponsored gaming. Yeah, no, I do sponsored gaming stuff all the time. In fact, we've got some sponsors coming up for the end of the month for Humane Society stuff. We're running a charity right now for the Humane Society of the United States. You guys have raised $80,923.44 so far out of 100K. We're going to be doing some sponsor stuff before the end of the month under a stipulation that they cannot pay me. They have to pay that. So it will go directly into that, and I won't get any money. How done is Animus? Animus is very, very close to being finished. So let me go pop this up for you. But the only thing that needs to be done for Animus to be finished is this. The rest of this is actually a section of Animus that happens after Animus is finished. This is all we need. And we've got some stuff that I need to work with, like our Portuguese translator is going to be working on stuff sometime soon. Our Russian translator, unfortunately, lives in Moscow and can't work on the game. So we can't update the Russian translation. As much as all the Russian fans keep reaching out to me and being upset, I can't do anything about it. That's not going to change for a while. But I've got these two sections finished now, so that's pretty good. These are all completely done. And all we have is Picnic and the Clash. And I've got some stuff done with Picnic, and we've got music done for the Clash, which is cool. Like this music here. It is a song called Miserable Manic Shadows, which is this one, which you guys know is the hype train music. This is actually the music for this fight. Now, the really cool part about this song is if you listen to this part, you hear the strings. Now listen here. Both of those are exactly the same song with different instruments that play over the top. So there's a bass song and two side songs, and it swaps between those two based on what's going on in that fight. So we've made a dynamic fight with dynamic music that goes with it. Stijn worked really hard on that, and it's pretty awesome. There's a couple other things we're going to be doing as a studio as well. Stijn actually has gone off and started making their own games. They've made a bunch of really tiny games that have been very good, and they made their own studio called Frog Vibes, which is neat, and they've been trying to make stuff with that. And since you guys have supported us so heavily through the stream, I'm now able to publish their game. So I'm going to be helping out Stijn financially to help their studio get their games off the ground, and we've been talking about that as well and making sure that that can happen. On top of that, we've also been running the game jams. So if you haven't seen the game jams yet, please go and join those. Those are free. None of this stuff costs any money. And the last two, massive. Absolutely enormous. I think the last one is 15,000 people joined. This one was 16,400. These are enormous, dude. These are enormous. You have a shitload of entries that will happen by the end of this, and we have to go through them all. Is this for advanced game devs? No, it's just for anybody. You want to go do stuff. When do you plan to finish development? My hope is to finish it as quickly as possible. To be honest with you, with the monthly builds now coming up, I have a restriction on me where I have to produce content for you every month, and I can't just keep pushing it off because I'm busy with everything else that it takes to run a business. This forces my hand to make sure that I have to stay accountable to you guys and release new content for the game. That's going to make it easier for me to do this, and now that Shay is actually less busy as well, it's going to be easier for Shay to build this kind of stuff too, because she has a day job. Shay actually goes and is a exotic vet assistant and an exotic veterinary, and that helps a shitload for like running the animal rescue, running the ferret rescue. So Shay was super busy with art. I was too busy to do art, rather. Shay was too busy to do art stuff. I was too busy to do programming stuff. And now we're not. The machine is in place. We can go build. Steamdeck compatibility. Heartbound is already compatible with Steamdeck. You can already play it on that. Works just fine. Alternate reality game. Yes. The alternate reality game didn't move forward because I was actually looking for this book. And this book is called Code, Hidden Language of Computers, Hardware, and Software. And it's got a shitload of methods for doing ARG stuff that I was trying to find this book literally everywhere. And then I found it. And you may have noticed something has changed with the ARG. Have fun. How do you handle the dialogue in the game? Dialogue in the game is actually done through strings and what is called a strings table. It's pretty industry standard. Those all get transferred over via GitHub to other members of the team so that they can go and translate those very easily. It uses a markup language, basically a markup system that I put together inside of GameMaker Studio so that we can change the way that it looks on screen without them knowing any programming. They just have to put in little symbols and things and it'll change the color or make it fly around or any kinds of shit. It's just a flag system. It's really easy. What are the next steps? Once you finish Heartbound, what are your plans? We're going to make another game. About monster. It's a monster catcher that we wanted to do. Something we've been thinking about for a long time. Will you ever construct an MMORPG game? Go play Blockgame. It's a social sandbox MMO that we make inside the team. You can learn about it on the Discord. Console version ever? Yes. We're going to be launching a Nintendo Switch 2 once that is available. And once we can put it on it. Will there be changes to Heartbound OST? It already has 100 songs on it. As the game goes forward, we will keep adding more songs to the OST, yes. Do you have a QA pipeline? We do. Yeah, we actually have a whole way of testing each one of the builds and making sure that we go through all of that process. There are a lot of components to Heartbound, and the reason why is because there's a lot of different routes that you can play through, so there's a lot of things to test, unfortunately. Takes a long time. Why not sell it in GOG? We're putting it up on Steam because there's a really easy process of being able to update the game on Steam, and it's a easy framework. I don't see why we wouldn't add it to other platforms later in the future, but for now, we're not moving it. There's no reason to add more platforms on a game that's not finished. With the increase in updates, we'd be looking to hire more people for QA. Potentially, that's something that I might do, mostly for QA localization work, though. One of the things that we're doing right now is we have a localization member for pretty much any, for all the languages that we support, but that they're the only one. And the only way that we can catch localization problems is when we give it out to the community and then they give feedback on it. I might open up some part-time work potentially for QA localization positions as needed. So more like a contract for a certain amount of time for a certain amount of work, and that'd be it. What about the Steam keys as a reward? The Steam keys as a reward is seen as being a loss leader. Basically, we lose a little bit of money on that, but more people find out about the game. It's positive for the game overall. Is Blockgame to be put on the back burner now? No, not at all. In fact, I want to release Neath soon. I've got most of it built. Are there any plans for more languages in Heartbound? Yes, I want to do Italian and Chinese as two of the main ones that we don't have on there right now. And German. We've always been trying to do German, but the problem with German is that translating puns in German is horrible. Polish might happen as well. I found out we actually have a pretty large Polish community, and what we've been doing with that is we lowered the price in Poland because the price was too high for Polish people. Will there be photosensitivity setting for Heartbound? So one of the things that people have been asking quite a bit is to get rid of the bright flash when you go into certain environments. That just makes the screen white and then fades out slowly. So it shouldn't have any type of concern for somebody with epilepsy, but it is still very bright and annoying. The problem that I'm running into is I want to have that because a lot of those scene transitions are because lightning is going off in Laura's bedroom and that lightning is bright. And I need to find a way to do that storyline-wise without damaging stuff. Maybe I'll give an option for people to do it. I've already added in some new options that you guys will see in the monthly build that allow you to do things like turn off the text wiggling for people that have dyslexia. The game is already done in mono-spaced block style font, which is a font that I built called, it's just the Heartbound font. So that turning off the wiggling text should just make that even easier if you have dyslexia in some way. So I'm trying to add other accessibility options already. Microtransactions win? Never. I have no intention to do that. Also, we will never have any DLC for Heartbound outside of the OST and the art book if we make that. We'll also never have a sequel or a prequel for Heartbound. It is the whole game. How long is Heartbound? It depends on the route that you take. For instance, if you play through the entire game as it is intended, it's probably about 2 hours right now. If you play through the entire game on a Darksider run, which is you treat everyone like shit and kill everybody, that could be like another 2 to 2.5 hours. And then you can do it in a different, there's so many different ways. There's a lot of shitloads of routes and things like that. Heartbound's pretty massive in terms of routes and changes for that. I don't like subtle changes a lot of the times. I try to do pretty large changes, and it takes a long time to finish. Yeah, as intended, which is the like baseline route, I guess. Will the OST ever get a vinyl press? We had a company approach us for a vinyl press for the OST. The problem was there's 100 songs and planning to be quite a bit more. So with that in mind, nah, unless we do like a couple of songs. We might do a boss theme and be like, here's this song on vinyl, or like these 3 songs on vinyl. But like, dude, there's no way we can do them all. There's no way. You have a physical studio? We are all work from home. I don't believe in physical studios. I don't want people to go into an office to work on things. I think it is bad for creativity. You should be at home and comfortable when you're working on creative stuff. What is the baseline level of experience that you seek when you are hiring someone? It's less about baseline level of experience. It's can you do the role even if you do it kind of half-assed? And are you teachable? Are you interested? Do you have drive to learn this? Those last 3 are way more important to me. If I can train someone up to be badass and they're very excited to do it, I'm way more interested in that. The only time that we have to worry about are you actually very, very good at this is translation work, because they can't screw that up. And that's not something I can teach them. Do you think Heartbound will be vastly different than if it was finished before the channel explosion? Story-wise, probably yes. And the reason why, Nematai, is I was writing Heartbound originally as a vent piece. I was really, really feeling like shit all the time. And I was using Heartbound as a way to get all those negative, shitty emotions out of myself onto paper. And I don't feel like shit all the time anymore. So because of that, the storyline likely will not be exactly the same as what it was intended to be in the first place. Heartbound was never meant to be as large as it has become. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to finish that. And now that we have monthly update builds, it's going to be easier to do that. How did the name PirateSoftware came to be? There's a friend of mine that worked at Blizzard named Bare Hands. And he always wanted to make a studio called PirateSoftware because he thought it would be ironic. And I was like, hey, we'll do that. That sounds actually kind of cool. You know, maybe one day do that thing. And when I left, I was like, hey, man, I'm going to go start a studio. Can I have the name? And he was like, take it, man. And then I registered it. I trademarked it. And the trademark from the last people who owned it had expired. And now I own it. Is Heartbound also on Mac? If not, why? No, it is not on Mac. And the reason why is because we found that the process for putting it on Windows was kind of like you just compile it, it's done. Process for putting it on Linux is you just spin up a VM and compile it and it's done. The process for putting it on Mac is first you have to buy Mac hardware. Specifically, it has to be Mac hardware. Then you have to buy a licensing keys. Then you have to compile it through Xcode, which is dog shit if anyone else here has done this. And then maybe it works. And all of this for 0.02% of overall sales. And if it doesn't work, you have to go back here and do this part again without paying, but just reprovisioning the keys. Why would I do that? Everybody just plays on wine anyway. Can we get a tour of your studio? I mean, here's the studio. Back here, we have our cinematics department with their green screen. It's great. You can see the rest of staff in chat. Yeah, there it is. That's the studio, bud. What is your spaghetti policy? Yes.